Well, joining me on set is Winnie Kamuya. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the International Renaissance Center. She'll be giving us an insight as to whether personal assistants still have their role and their place in their workplaces. Thank you, Madam Kamuya, for coming through to Business Defined this afternoon.
Thank you, Doreen.
All right. Let's begin from are personal assistants still relevant, or their work has been taken over by ICT?
That's an interesting question because, number one, the laptops came, okay? And now we have the iPads, and in fact right now some people are even using the tablets, which have got the virtual assistant. But the question is this: if you are the CEO in an office and you leave the office and somebody calls, who's going to answer the call? If a guest comes into your office and you are not in the office, you are in a meeting, or you are engaged elsewhere, who's going to answer that? If you have in business, because in most of the times you find that you've got people and clients who are coming and looking, who are satisfied and unsatisfied, assuming they are not satisfied with the service, who is going to deal with that situation?
All right.
Yes. So that is where we begin to ask ourselves that are the executive assistants relevant or not? I think with that in mind, we can see that we still need the human face in an office.
All right.
There is nowhere technology is going to replace the human part, the human aspect in an office where executives are going to be working.
All right, you've brought up a very interesting aspect there, and you have asked, or you have posed that question of if a phone comes through, who is going to answer? Then somebody will argue there is a secretary in the office. Why then do you need a personal assistant? Probably you could help distinguish the difference between the two.
Okay, in the current world, we see that the titles have been changing. Initially it was the secretary, and it came to personal assistant, and then it came to executive assistants, and right now they're called office assistants, office administrators, office assistants. So all these tie into the same role. These are executive assistants who are always helping the executives. They've got different titles depending on organizations, depending on also government, because some government offices still call them the personal assistant or the personal secretary. So it's the same job. It's the same task that will be done by the same person. It's only the title that have changed over time.
All right.
Yes.
Winnie, what do you then say that the personal assistants have helped the chief executive officers and the managers when it comes to achieving their roles or carrying out their day-to-day tasks? What would you say is their core role?
Okay, I'll give you this example, and I want you to pay attention to successful and productive executives around the world. And look at them. And one of the things you're going to notice is that these people, they are very calm. That's number one. Why are they calm? Because executives are supposed to be very busy people. And when you meet them, you expect that they are going to be feeling they're in a rush to go to do the next job.
All right.
They are calm, they are productive, they are successful because they have somebody behind the scene who is doing the planning, the preparation of what they are going to be doing, and everything that needs to be done while they're engaged in one meeting or engaged in any other part of the job that requires their attention.
All right.
Yes.
So basically they take up most of the workload of the other managers and the CEOs.
No. They don't take most of the work. They do behind the scene job. The job that you can be able to delegate without having to keep an eye on it. They will help you with that. And that is why you find successful, productive executives. They can be able to run their schedules on time. They can meet their deadlines. And I want us to look at the entrepreneur. They say it's expensive to have an executive assistant. It's expensive to have somebody to assist us. But are we spending most of the time planning our next project, or are we planning for the next thing that we need to do right now so that the day is over?
All right.
With an assistant, they will do the little jobs that you don't need to be doing, and you can be able to focus on the bigger job, which as an executive, it is to carry out the strategy of the company. It is to take the organization to that level that you want.
All right.
Yes.
I know your center has training and training facilities for the personal assistants. What then would you say you have picked up as some of the misgivings by some of their personal assistants in a way that they are not able to deliver or do their job properly?
Okay, one of the challenges the executive assistants face in all over, and we've interacted with many of them because we work with associations around Africa, and I can tell you they share the same problem. Executive assistants are given duties, tasks that they're supposed to do. They are never trained in some cases, and the executive assume they should know what to do. And I want to also make a note on this, because when you get executive assistants as taking over on managerial jobs, they are the most experienced in terms of dealing with other people, because they interact, they are in difficult roles as assistants. They've got to meet with different people, because not everybody who comes to see the executive is pleasant. They've got to know how to handle that. Because of that exposure, they have an added advantage. They get on-the-job training, which makes them better people in society in general and in the organization.
Right.
Yeah. Remember, again, they are the ones who are supposed to be the ears of the executive, so they're collecting information that will be useful for the executive to make certain decisions. They also act as sounding board for the boss when he actually doesn't know what is happening around the organization. So they could pick that information and be able to place it to their executives, and that information can be used properly to make that organization go to levels that maybe would not have gone to.
All right. When you have mentioned there that most of the times, or one of the major challenges the personal assistants face is they're given jobs that, and the managers expect them to know what to do, and they are not trained, say, probably training on the job. Does that then say something about the tertiary education or the training they get at the tertiary level? Does it not prepare them for that kind of job or those kind of roles?
Let us go back to where their training started. Before, they used to do office practice and typing. And in the current change in the world, with the technology coming in, some of these skills, they will not use them as much. So they need to be trained as technology comes in. Okay? They need to be trained. You find an executive has got an iPad, and then puts it on her desk. Show me how to do it. Or goes, buys a smartphone, and brings it to her and says, load all my numbers there. How are you expected to know all this? And maybe you are not using those gadgets. So it is important as an executive to also make sure we are taking these people for training, so that they are aware of what are the changes and how they can adopt these changes, so that they can also train us. Because these are very exceptional people. And one of the things that we'll be doing a lot of training with in next year is the 3E, which is a framework that looks at those characteristics, those traits that successful executive assistants exhibit. And this is something I've been studying from the top successful executive assistants around the world. They exhibit exceptional, extraordinary, and excellent characters. Those three, if you have an executive assistant who displays that, then it means as an executive, you are just shining.
Talk us through some of those characteristics.
Okay. When we talk about exceptional, we are talking about demonstrating your uniqueness. And let us look at somebody like the late President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. Here he had a personal assistant who was not black. And when you do your research, you're going to find out that she had the difficult task of being an executive assistant of a black president. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? Put in a position that you're supposed to fit in, because here the late president was showing the world that we can work together. She came, and she says in one of her interviews, she came in without knowing that aspect. She had to adjust to fit in, and in the world, to show the world that my executive is actually showing what he's saying. That is very, very, very unique. You have to really be unique to be able to do that. When we talk of extraordinary, and I want us to actually think through one of the things that one of the best kept secrets about influence, and most of us, we are not aware, and we work with these people, we interact with them every day. Do we ever think when they are busy taking care of us to make sure that we run our schedules on day to day, and we are on time, we meet targets, we meet deadlines? What are they doing to us? They are taking care. They are influencing us in ways we don't know. When we talk about excellence, if we look around some of the successful, actually entrepreneurs, successful people, some of them have been executive assistants. That is the most interesting part, because what it means to us is that these people can inspire us. So if we can learn from them, if we can be inspired by them, then it means we can learn a lot more from there.
All right. Winnie, having been at the International Renaissance Center for a while, I am sure there's a company or organization that you would pick as the best practice and say, look at what the personal assistants have done in this organization, and use it to sort of just as a model for other personal assistants who want to sort of associate or relate to what they should be doing to become those better personal assistants they should be. Would you pick any organization that as a role model, as a best practice, probably?
Okay. Maybe most of the organizations, they only have at the top level. That is where they have the executive assistants, and I won't have any in mind right now. What I can say is that the executives that you see successful today, the ones you read in news, no, those ones have got a secret. And the secret is having an executive assistant behind them. They know, I need this person to plan and organize the work that I'm supposed to do, so that I can be able to deliver on time. All right. Yes.
My director tells me we are running short of time, but then again, I'll not let you go, Winnie, before you talk about the Personal Assistants of the Year Award. You did the seventh edition this year, is it?
Yes.
Has it made a difference in the way personal assistants feel appreciated? Are you seeing more organizations and companies sort of nominating their personal assistants for the award?
Okay, we launched this Personal Assistant of the Year Award in 2007 to appreciate the personal assistants, because one of the things that I realized in our interaction is that they felt really unappreciated by organizations, and people assume they are not doing anything in the workplace. And we thought it would be good if we really show appreciation, that when they go back, they say there's somebody out there who has noticed we are doing something in our organization. And from the time we started, I can tell you we've seen changes, because I can see most of the winners, once they get the recognition, you see this is like a stamp to say what you are doing is good. Go on, go and do it. Go mentor others. Go inspire others. It changes everyone's life.
All right.
Our winner for 2015 broke down because she had reached a level where she was feeling, my work needs to be noticed.
Recognized.
Yes. And she was thinking, now, am I really doing what I should do? And I remember before she was announced, she was not aware. And when she was announced, it's the time she said, this is what she said, I know my purpose now. So we said, you mean you didn't know your purpose? It's really a great feeling when somebody realizes why they're on this planet, what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
That recognition of what they're supposed to be doing, it's a great moment for somebody
It's a
in
much
life.
needed appreciation.
Yes.
Winnie, as we come to the close of the show, your final word about why personal assistants are that necessary part of any organization.
What I can say is, if you have neglected the part of using an executive assistant, then it means you're spending most of the time doing the wrong thing in your organization. And maybe that can be tabulated by the results you have in your company. So go out there, like right now, and get a personal assistant.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming through to Business Defined this afternoon and for the insight. And of course, the more you keep talking about that, the more the personal assistants feel motivated. And as you said, some of them feel like their work is not recognized. So you give them that boost and motivation they need. Well, we are now taking a short break. We return in just a moment with more news from the corporate scene.